I wrote a story a few months ago breaking it down. He said the big mega banks that created the derivatives, that have a sweetheart deal with the government, who have almost every regulatory position, they have written this to shut us down and take us over and take down smaller Wall Street firms. Ron Paul concurred here 2 weeks ago on the show, saying that's exactly what it does. But the media is running a hoax, saying, oh, this banking reform bill, it's going to get J.P. Morgan, Chase, and Goldman Sachs. What's your take on that?
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's no way that's going to happen. I mean, I know that whenever Wall Street screws up and they get their buddies in government to write regulations, it punishes the smaller firms that compete with them. You see, these big firms like Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan, they have economies of scale. They don't care how much rules and regulations. They have an army of lawyers on staff. They can handle it. It's little firms like me. My compliance costs have gone through the roof. I now have an 8-person compliance department, whereas 10 years ago, I did it all myself. And I'm spending millions of dollars a year on compliance. It is worthless. The Patriot Act has killed me. The anti-money laundering stuff. I've now been turned into an unpaid IRS informant spying on all my customers. It costs me a fortune to do it, and I hate to do it. But if I don't do it, they're going to shut me down, and I can't even be in business anymore. But all the stuff that happened in the NASDAQ bubble, the Sarbanes-Oxley, the rules that we got after, I didn't participate in any of those problems, yet I had to bear the costs of all the screw-ups in the big firms. That's what's going to happen again. All this is going to do is add more unnecessary rules and regulations that add costs, that put up barriers to
and it's all going to be selectively enforced because the big 6 banks literally have all the regulators as their former alumni.
In their back pocket, just like Bernie Madoff did. He had all these guys bought off. He married off, his daughter to one of the regulators, and they bribed these guys. But a lot of firms aren't going to get started. A lot of smaller firms are going to go out of business because they can't survive the regulatory onslaught. And all of this is music to the ears of these too big to fail firms that are going to get a lot bigger and make a lot more money off the backs of the American people.
Yeah, this is Veritas. That's the heart of it. And you explain that to some socialist liberal, they'll actually understand that. We'll be right back with Peter Schiff, our guest running for Senate in Connecticut. Stay with us.
The summer specials are here. Colloidal silver, CoQ10 with hawthorn, glucosamine chondroitin, super male plex and female plex, memory power, colon enhancer, and more, all on sale at Herbal Healer Academy. Visit herbalhealer.com now for big summer savings on longevity products like HGH, resveratrol, colloidal minerals, and hundreds of natural health products. Herbal Healer Academy has been a global leader of safe, natural medicine, providing natural supplements, correspondence courses, informative newsletters with ongoing research information to our members since 1988. Sign up for free online newsletters and don't miss McCain's 3-point plan for health at the Herbal Healer Academy website, herbalhealer.com. Find natural ways for weight loss, plus men's, women's, and children's health products, and our famous top-selling 4-herb tea. The testimonials are incredible, and so are the summer specials at herbalhealer.com. Herbal Healer Academy, healing the world with nature, one person at a time.
Global meltdowns, massive unemployment, endless wars, a new currency crisis, financially and morally bankrupt. A great and terrible storm is approaching. So what's the best way to get ready? To get prepared for hard times ahead? Introducing Off the Grid News, a weekly newsletter for independent patriots who want practical advice on how to survive and prosper in an increasingly dangerous world. It's the best way to get a black belt in emergency preparedness, survival skills, and off-the-grid living. Off the Grid News is fiercely independent, all about self-reliance, and packed with helpful information on survival gardening, food preparation, alternative energy, herbal medicines, privacy and security, as well as God, gold, and guns, with absolutely no apologies. And the best part? This $100 a year service is now free of charge for our listeners. That's right, free for our listeners who sign up at offthegridnews.com. That's offthegridnews.com. You can sign up for free at offthegridnews.com. offthegridnews.com.
What started as an idea to provide power for a small hunting cabin has grown into a passion for creating an alternative energy source that's both affordable and reliable. At Wind Blue Power, our goal is to provide you with the best selection of parts and accessories to power your own ideas. Whether you're building a wind generator from scratch or you prefer a complete bolt-together kit, we've got you covered with fast worldwide shipping and impeccable customer service. Visit us at windbluepower.com. Think green, go blue at Wind Blue Power.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
The Fall of America and the Western World is an all-new 10-hour documentary and survival guide rolled into one. In this film, you will see the reasons why our government is failing and what you can do to prepare. Featuring Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, Joseph Farah, David Icke, Naomi Wolf, G. Edward Griffin, Doug McIntyre, Mark Crispin Miller, Mickey Z, Doug Casey, David McElhaney, and myself, Alex Jones. Protect yourself and get the tools you need to protect your family from these difficult times. The Fall of America and the Western World at www.thefallofamerica.net or click on the banners at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Again, that website's www.thefallofamerica.net or call 800-655-1577. Prepare yourself and the ones you love today. Fallofamerica.net. Senate.com is the website. We've got it up on screen for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. And of course, his big claim to fame is Ron Paul's main presidential advisor for his presidential campaign on the economy. And he, of course, predicted a lot of what has now unfolded. I want to, before he leaves us, got another 35 minutes left with him, get back into how he sees the situation with the economy unraveling. I mean, they're now starting to admit we're in a depression, not just a double-dip recession, so we'll get his take on that. In fact, let's just get your take more on the economy right now, because that's what you're really an expert on. Where do you see things going? I mean, they're now not just calling it a double-dip recession.
Well, I've been calling it a depression since it began, and it's going to be an inflationary depression. That's going to make it that much more depressing for most Americans. And it's not because of reasons that Paul Krugman is saying. He says we're going to have a depression because the government isn't doing enough. It's that it's doing too much. That's why we're going to have a depression. The government is starving the economy of the resources that it needs to grow and produce and provide employment opportunities. You see, we can't try to return to the ways things were while the bubble was inflating. That was the problem. We have to return to an economy based on underconsumption, savings, production, capital investment, entrepreneurship. But that can't be that happen as long as the government is stimulating. The government is trying to get us to spend more. Well, we're broke. All the stimulus is we'll get Americans to buy more cars. We can't even afford the cars we own. We have big buy more houses. Why? We bought too many houses. We're not in trouble because we didn't spend enough. We're in trouble because we didn't save enough. We spent too much. So we've got to save our money so that businesses can invest and grow the economy. But the government won't let that happen. The government is borrowing everything. People say the banks aren't loaning. They're sitting on the money. They are loaning it. They're loaning it to the government. They're borrowing from the Federal Reserve at practically nothing and then buying treasuries and earning a spread on money they don't even have. But the credit is funding the growth of government, which is undermining our economy. It's making our economy less productive, less able to compete. It's destroying opportunities.
Well, Peter, you say that they don't know what they're doing, but when California raised taxes in the last few years and tax receipts went down, that's 101. They know Kennedy cut taxes in certain brackets up to 50% in 61, and tax receipts doubled. They know carbon taxes kill jobs. They know every government job takes 2 private sector jobs. They know green jobs in Spain stalled their economy. So what's their answer? More government, more taxes.
Right. Well, as I said before, the government wants to perpetuate poverty and dependency because that's how they feed. They're like a parasite. That's what they live off of, our misery, because if they can keep us broke, then they can keep getting our votes. If they can dole out money that we depend on, then they can have our votes, because you're going to vote against anybody who wants to take away that free lunch. But the reality is, without all this government help, we'd all be better off. It's like Harry Brown used to say, the government is an expert at crippling you, then handing you a crutch and saying, see, without me, you couldn't walk.
Well, you did say 4 or 5 years ago we were going into a depression. You did say 2.5 years ago this is a depression. So you've been dead on. So I'm asking you, sir, with your own financial planning, with your own research, where do you see America in 6 months, a year out, 2 years out? How bad is this depression going to get?
Well, right now we're still drinking the government alcohol, the stimulus alcohol. So for a while, we don't feel the ill effects of what we're doing as we go deeper into debt. But I think sometime soon, I don't know if it's in 6 months or a year or two, but we're going to see a collapse in the dollar. We just saw a downgrade today of U.S. government debt by rating agencies in China. We're going to start to see an aversion to U.S. government debt around the world, and the dollar's going to plunge. Interest rates are going to soar, and then this recession is going to kick into, or depression, a higher gear. And